Hello you all, welcome back. She Loves God here. Today's video topic is on the name of Jesus. What is the true name of Jesus? Is it a big deal to be using the right name? Just recently, actually, maybe I guess late last year or early this year, I've been hearing a lot of people say Jesus' name is not what we say it is. They say it's not Jesus, but they say it's actually. Actually, I will tell you all to later on in this video. But they say that Jesus is not the correct name, and they say that the word Jesus, they actually called it a word and not a name. They say that the word Jesus is actually a mistransliteration of a Greek mistransliteration. So it's a mistransliteration of a Greek mistransliteration. So they say that the name Jesus actually has no intrinsic meaning whatsoever. It means that whatever language you put it in, it will have no meaning. But we know that Hebrew names actually had meanings behind them. So some people say that we should not be using we should not be saying his name is Jesus. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because I've had a few viewers, mostly, well, all black Hebrew Israelites, and they're writing me, saying stuff like, if you know his name is not Jesus, you shouldn't be saying that. You should be saying his real name. How would you feel if I called you Michelle and your name is Missy? And then one girl actually told me, I think it's a Bible verse that says, to him who knows, it's something like, to him who knows who knows what not to do and he does it anyway, to him it is sin. So she was basically saying that I was a sinner, that I was sinning and saying his name wrong. So I guess I want to ask you all, do you think it's that seriously? Now, I first want to read a few Bible verses to you all to see, is it really that serious for us to be saying his name the right way? Okay, so first, let's go to Acts 4:12, which says, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name given under heaven, whereby we must be saved. Again, it says, there is no other name under heaven, there is none other name under heaven, given among men whereby we must be saved. So there may be a name above heaven, but as far as names under heaven, there's only one. And it says given among men. There may be some names given among other beings or creatures, but as far as human beings are concerned, there's only one name. So some people say that in order to be saved, because the end of this verse says whereby we must be saved. So some people say that if you've been saved under Jesus' name, that means you're not really saved, because they say that's not the true name. That's not the only one name that was given. So, for example, some people say that Jesus' real name is Yeshua. So if Yeshua is the one name, then for us to go under Jesus, that's another name. That's not that one name. That's a second name. So that's one verse I want you all to think about while you listen to this video. And then also, there is Philippians 2:9, which says, wherefore God also hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name. Now we know that, let's just say there's a list of 5 names. Let's just say 3 names. Let's say it's Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. The name that is above every name is Jesus. In this example, in this case. So if you put another name above that name, then it's not above every name. So whatever name that God gave to Jesus, it's the only name. Some people will argue. And then one more verse is Ephesians 1:21, which says, far above all principality and power and might and dominion, in every name that is named, not only in this world, but also in that which is to come. So they're saying that that this name, it said it's far above every name that is named. So every name that is named, let's just say in this case that Jesus' real name is Yeshua. Then in this case, that means Yeshua is above every other name, including, Jesus, Jesus. How I think that's how Spanish speakers pronounce Jesus. They say Jesus. So basically what they're saying, these people who are arguing that we must use the correct name for Jesus, they're basically saying that there's only one name that we are given to be saved under. So those are just 3 verses I want you all to focus on. Now, some of you all may wonder, okay, well, how do we get to Jesus? If Jesus is the wrong name, how do we get, to Jesus? And I want to explain that to you all. Now, I mentioned to you all the name Yeshua. Some people argue that Yeshua is the true name. They said that if you were back there 2,000 years ago when Jesus walked the earth, they would say that the name that you would hear, Matthew, Mark, Thomas, Peter, the names that you would hear, the name that you would hear those disciples call Jesus, they said that if you were in that time period, you would hear them say Yeshua. That's what some people argue. Now you may wonder, okay, so how did we get from Yeshua to Jesus? So the people who say Yeshua is his name, and I'm not saying I agree with that, I'm just saying. So people who say Yeshua is his name, this is a website I went to. These people they're telling you how they got from Yeshua to Jesus. Remember I told you in the beginning, they say that the word Jesus is actually a mistransliteration of a Greek mistransliteration. It's not the same thing as translation. It's transliteration. And some people wonder, why would you translate or whatever, transliterate a name? A name is a name. My name is Misty in America. It should be Misty in Germany, Misty in Africa, Misty in Spain. So some people wonder, why would you even, change someone's name? But anyways, so I'm going to tell you all how this one website, the website is called www.thenazareneway.com. So go to their website and it should have a search engine where you can put in Yeshua or Jesus, and it'll tell you, I'm sure it'll show you to this link. But this particular site says, and it's telling you how they got from Yeshua to Jesus. Now, I want to just go through the name of Jesus, J-E-S-U-S. I want to go through each alphabet of his name to see how they went from Yeshua to Jesus. Now, Yeshua is spelled Y-E-S-H-U-A. So we want to know how we got from Y-E-S-H-U-A to J-E-S-U-S. So let's start with the first letter is Y. The first letter is Y. Now, you all know that the New Testament, the way that we see it, is written in Greek. The ones that we had translated to Latin and then to English, we got that from Greek manuscripts. So now, when the Greek people were writing down this stuff, they have no Y sound. The Greek people, if you know the Greek alphabet, they do not have a Y sound. They do not have a Y sound. They don't have that. So when they had to write down Yeshua, they didn't have anything. So they had to just put they put an I. They put the Greek letter I. And when it got translated from the Greek I to Latin, the Latin people, they use an I. Now remember, it went from what they say, it went from Greek to Latin to English. Greek, Latin, English. So in Greek, they had no Y, so they put an I. So in Latin, it was an I. But the thing about the Latin I is that it can be pronounced like an I or like a J, depending on what's in front of. So if you put the I in front of another vowel, it will be pronounced as a J. So in this case, because the I was in front of an E, it had to be pronounced as a J. So that's how we get the J sound, the J sound. We got from Yeh in Yeshua to the J in Jesus, because the Greek people do not have a Y sound in their language. Okay? Now the first letter in the name Yeshua is the Yod. It's the Yod. It's pronounced Yod. It's Y-O-D. That's in the Hebrew. They say the Hebrew alphabet. It's Yod. It's Y-O-D. Now, like I told you all, Greek, they did not have the Greek, they did not have the J. They didn't. Well, I'm sorry, not J. The Greek people, they did not have the Y sound. So names like Jerusalem, Jericho, and Jordan would be is actually Yerushalayim, Yericho, and Yarden. So you see how when you don't have the Y sound in your alphabet, you have to change it. So that's why it says Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is Jerusalem. Jericho is Jericho, and Yarden is Jordan. And they also translated. Not only did they translate like Hebrew place names, but they also translated personal names like for example, Yonah, Yeshai, and Yeshua went to Jonah, Jesus, and to Jonah, Jesse, and Jesus. So anything that had a yah sound to it, it got lost in translation or transliteration, because the Greeks did not have that yah, they did not have that y sound. Okay. And if you actually look at earlier English Bibles, instead of seeing a J, you would see an I. You would actually see an I-E. Instead of seeing the J-E, you would see the I-E instead. So remember I told you in Latin, the I could be pronounced as an I or as a J. So that's how we went from the Yeshua to Jesus. Okay? Now the second sound in Yeshua's name, it's the eh sound. Yeshua, eh. Now, not only was the first letter in Yeshua mispronounced in English, but also the first vowel. So instead of that eh sound for the E in net, it went to the E sound, like the E in meat. It turns into that E sound. So we went from yeah to G. Because in English, our E's can be pronounced different ways. So we guessed wrong. Instead of saying, it's one thing that we said Jesus to be closer to Yeshua, but we actually just said Jesus. And those this website talks about those euphemistic profanities like G or G's. They say that comes from people trying to I guess hint towards Jesus' name. Okay, and then now the next letter in Yeshua is the S sound. But actually, in Hebrew, it would be an SH. That's the Hebrew Sheen. But the Greek language does not have a SH. They don't have the sh sound. And many other languages don't have the sh sound either. So, of course, in Greek, they, instead of putting the sh to represent the Hebrew Sheen, SH, they just put in their sigma, which is a s sound. And in English, our S's can sound like S as a snake, or it can sound like it can be a Z sound. So that's how we get, instead of saying Jesus, we say Jesus, and we have that Z sound to it. So that's how we went from Yesh to Jeez. Okay? And the fourth sound you will hear in the name Yeshua is the U sound. And in English, our you can have different sounds to it. So it's supposed to be the ooh, like the ooh you would hear in the word true or blue, but instead we get the ooh. But instead we get the u as the you would hear in cuts, like That's how we get Jesus. Okay. Now the last thing you'll see in the name Yeshua is an A. Now the way they pronounce this A in Hebrew is kind of difficult for English speakers. It's kind of hard to say, but it's like bah. It's kind of like you're choking up something, like you're it's like you're gargling kind of. So we don't have that, in English, so we couldn't pronounce it anyway. But the reason that they dropped that A and put an S is because masculine names in Greek ordinarily end with a consonant, usually with an S sound. That's why you see names like Nicodemus, Judas, Lazarus, they end their stuff with an S. And I'm sure some of you have noticed that they'll name the prophets, instead of just saying Isaiah, they'll put Isaias. Instead of saying Jonah, they'll put Jonas. Instead of saying Zechariah, they'll say Zacharias. So the Greek people, they will put, for a male name, they will put S's at the end. Sometimes, they'll put an N or an R. That's very infrequent. But usually an S. That's how we got from Yeshua to Jesus. So we pretty much, mispronounce every single letter in the name. If we were back there in the Bible days, we would not be hearing them say Jesus. Again, that is a mistransliteration. It's a mistransliteration of a Greek mistransliteration. So in part 2, I'm going to go over some other things about the true name of Jesus. And I don't even believe it's Yeshua. I believe it's something else. So I will tell you all in part 2 what I think it is. Look for part 2. Thank you.